Good morning, everybody. We are live. It is Rightside of campus. We're getting going here on a Wednesday, March 14th, 2018. The tournament gets going tomorrow. Got going last night with the playing games, going on tonight again. We're here live, ready to break it down. Big day here at SBR. Lot going on. Donnie Rightside, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Watching some college basketball last night, late into the evening, having some fun. The first four in Dayton, a nice little appetizer before we get grinding tomorrow on Thursday. There is money to be made in these tournaments, Jeff. And again, hey, right up to April the 2nd, where you're going to get a champion crowned in NCAA through March Madness. Let's have some fun. It's a great time of the year.
A lot going on today here at the channels. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We got a big show at 4 o'clock. Me, you, Teddy Covers, Drew Martin. We're going to be breaking down all the games from a point spread perspective. A little bit later, as far as make sure you're there for that. Will be a great show. We'll get kind of a roundtable perspective of everyone's opinions. We'll also on Saturday, Ian Cameron will join us. We got a lot of people going here to talk college basketball, get opinions from different people. If you're out there, hit the like button, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hope you enjoy it. A lot of good content here. Hit the like button, retweet it on Twitter. Where are we starting today? Donnie, why don't you do some quick shout outs here before we get going here?
Let's get some shout outs here in the chat box. Welcome in. We have Giorgio Migliaccio. I believe that's a name. Dale 04, Eric, Ralph, Donald. Welcome into the chat box. We'll get it going here, popping live. Some fun, as we said, we're going to have today. I mean, an interesting card because you're going to have what? CIT, NIT, those first four games. A lot of interesting stuff, which we'll go over. The rule changes in the NIT, which I know caught a lot of people by storm last night. It was kind of funny, Jeff, seeing on my phone last night, checking in and saying, you know what? First, second, man, this game is low scoring. Not figuring it was the quarters, and then you check into the games. There's a different three-point line. NIT, Jeff, always messing around with some of those rules out there.
Yep, they definitely were. We begin. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We get into the morning headlines here today. Russell Westbrook, 100 career triple doubles. That's pretty unbelievable. On a smaller scale, Ben Simmons had 7 triple doubles this year. That's a rookie record, tied with Matt Johnson. But look, Russell Westbrook's a great player. I think he's honestly, to me, other than LeBron James, I think he's the most dominating player in the league. I don't. There's no one that can stop him. He's impossible to stay in front of. When he gets the basketball and goes into the lane, good luck getting a stop. When it's pure, I look at being great, Donnie, as dominating. If you can be a dominating player and no one can stop you, a lot of these players you can't stop. But Russell Westbrook is an unbelievable player who's really dominating, Donnie.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk explosiveness, is there any more explosiveness than out of Russell Westbrook in the entire NBA?
No.
I mean, the NBA, again, has the best athletes in the world. And you watch him night in, night. And Jeff, he's not a rookie. Like, he's not, 21, 22 years old. He's been doing this a while. And it seems like every night you watch him, he gets faster or does something even crazier or more explosive at a time. I mean, he is a numbers guy, and he cares a lot about the triple doubles. That's why he gets them. The team has almost like that pact where when the rebound goes up, just let Russ get it to make sure he gets the 10 rebounds for a point guard. Obviously, that's the hardest part of a triple double, but you're not going to get any excuses out of me or any hate on how explosive and dominating that guy is.
No, he's phenomenal. NFL free agency, Donnie, was kicked up yesterday, and it was on fire. A lot went on yesterday. Where do you even begin? I mean, obviously, you start with the Eagles. They go out and get Haloti Ngata. They bring in a linebacker from Detroit, Corey Nelson. But you look at the rest of the league, Jimmy Graham going to the Green Bay Packers, Jordy Nelson released. What is going on in Green Bay? I mean, seems like there's some weird things going on there. I mean, Donnie, remember back to and we didn't talk about this a ton, but you remember back when they got rid of Aaron Rodgers, what was it, his quarterbacks coach or somebody like that? Didn't really tell him or anything. Now you're getting rid of Jordy Nelson. What's going on there in Green Bay?
Yeah, I agree with the Jordy Nelson. It's kind of funny when you hear like Jordy Nelson to me, you still watch TV and like, oh, he's probably like 26, 27 years old. I mean, he's in his 30s already. What, 32, 33 years old, makes a lot of money. And Jeff, when you make a lot of money in the NFL and you start getting a little bit older, they want some proof in the pudding. And if you watch Jordy Nelson without Aaron Rodgers, Jeff, he's almost invisible on the football field. You have to prove your worth in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers to me, Jeff, is the best overall quarterback. If I had to start right now, just I need 1 year to play this year, it would be Aaron Rodgers. He makes everybody look good. And the counterpoint off that, what a great signing to get Jimmy Graham. I know the tight ends technically haven't really worked out in Green Bay. Martellus Bennett, they try to fix it in and, add on each year. But this is the best tight end you could possibly get. And in the red zone, what a monster target for him to have. I like the move of ditching Jordy Nelson and picking up Jimmy Graham. I think it helps. But then again, Jeff, you could have 10 bums out on the field, and Aaron Rodgers is going to get 11 wins out of you.
I mean, they had the receiver quarterback duo, the record for touchdowns, 65 in the in their organization. I mean, they were pretty good together. Nelson does struggle though to stay healthy. What were some other things that went on here? The what was I going to say, Donnie? I'm losing track of what I was going to say. Why don't you fill us in on the rest of the NFL stuff, Donnie? I'm
Yeah, some
losing
good stuff
track of what
today
I was
breaking
gonna say.
down. And the Maestro GM Wizard of the Year, Howie Roseman, signs Nigel Bradham this morning to a 5-year, $40 million deal. The best front seven, and it's not even close now in the NFL. The Eagles legitimately, Jeff, have 2 defensive lines that could start on any football team just about around the league. Now you're going to get Bradham back. You're going to get Hicks, who everybody forgets about, was the Eagles' best linebacker overall. He'll be healthy and ready to start the football season. You're right, the kid from Denver they picked up. A little meat and, I don't want to say meat and potatoes type guy, which I saw go around Twitter, but that nice special teams guy that can fill in as like a 4th linebacker. The Eagles are stacked and ready for another run. Impressive by Howie Roseman. The one thing I do want to bring up, Jeff, is in the NFL, there is a salary cap. There's a floor and there's a ceiling. But you can massage that ceiling as long as you have an owner committed to winning. If you saw last year, Jeff, the Eagles paid out more in cash than any National Football League team. They're going to do it again this year. There's no smoke and mirrors with the Eagles. They want to win again another Super Bowl. By far the most talented roster in the NFL, only getting deeper by the day. It's amazing, Jeff.
Yeah, but still not making moves offensively. They're getting rid of players. What are we going to do at tight end now? I mean, Trey Burton gone, Brent Selleck gone, Zach Ertz, great player, but not a blocker. Can't do anything really on that level. Obviously, I wonder what you're going to do at running back. I mean, you still have kind of just a running back by committee there. The receiver's obviously very good. Quarterback looks like you're going to keep Nick Foles. But yes, defense is obviously the name of the game, and they have probably the best front seven in the league. We also, Donnie, the Bears were active yesterday. They brought in all sorts of players. They bring in Trey Burton. Who else did they get? Allen Robinson. Made all sorts of moves. Malcolm Butler gone. He's going to Tennessee. Lewis as well. Deion Lewis going to Tennessee. It's good to see Malcolm Butler get a move for himself. He was having some problems in New England there. And you mentioned the Nigel Bradham deal this morning. So a lot of moves being made. A wild free agency right now in the NFL. It's only going to continue till, I guess, basically it ends. One last thing, Donnie. The Pac-12, embarrassing last night. Actually, the Pac-12 is pretty embarrassing in general. You look at this tournament, USC doesn't get in, and you almost kind of figure, well, that was good because they almost lost last night in UNC Asheville. They probably should have lost if Asheville learned how to foul at the end of the first overtime. They were up 3. They decided to not foul. Even though the coach was screaming foul, they didn't foul. They ended up making it 3 to go into the second overtime and then losing. But Pac-12, explain, Donnie, your comment here on embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, you look last night, UCLA goes down. Then you have, which you should have lost probably to Asheville late in the game. You also have which again, one of the slots down lower that we'll take a look in a few moments. USC plays to under 1,600 people at home yesterday in that NIT game. Their best player sits the game out ready to go to the NBA. If you don't want to be in the NIT, your fans don't want to be in the NIT, don't accept the bid. It's okay to do that. Just the whole Pac-12 as a whole yesterday. And thank God Oregon woke up because they were down double digits at the half to Ryder, which leads me to believe, taking a look at Arizona now. How good is Arizona? How weak was the Pac-12? How's that going to affect going forward in brackets, which we'll talk about a little later today, but just not impressive night for the Pac-12 overall.
We move it down to the college basketball recap, kind of chat about what went on between the NIT and in the tournament. We start out in the tournament. The St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies. What is their
Yeah,
mascot, Donnie? They're the Bonnies, right?
they're the Bonnies, baby. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do I always think they have a different mascot? Bonaventure, they get the job done against UCLA. And look, UCLA can't win games like this when you turn the ball over 20 times. They didn't shoot the ball well. They were really kind of down the whole game. Really up until like the 5-minute mark of the first quarter or first half, they were down. I mean, they lost the lead. I remember hearing, oh, it's the first lead per Bonaventure. Bonaventure never really looked back. They kind of kept them at an arm's length. And look, if you had UCLA, I don't fault you. I liked UCLA myself if I would have played it. I just, you know, Courtney Stockard played last night. Courtney Stockard had 26 points. Courtney Stockard was supposed to not play. He played, and he had a huge game. What do you do?
No, imagine that, Jeff. Like coming into the game, if you're looking at UCLA as an angle here, UCLA does have a lot more length, and you would like to say athletic ability or higher level athletes. And that was a big injury coming in, Jeff, because he missed last week. They clearly missed him. And not only does he come back and play, because how many times, Jeff, do we see kid coming off sprained ankle, kid coming off a hamstring? Yup, he's going to give it a go. And 3 minutes into the game, you're like, dude, he can barely even move. How about going out there? What do you have? End up, Jeff, 21, 24 points last night?
26. Yep.
That's amazing. And again, not even a higher scoring game. When your two studs out there struggling a little bit to get it going, you're holding down the fort and beating UCLA. That was really impressive. Nice to see Woj and the boys donate some money to get the fans in there because, as we know, Jeff, St. Bonaventure at home in that nice, tight, quaint atmosphere gets them going. Maybe the fans there, say, hey, look up in the stands, even though it's a neutral court side. Look, we got some fans here. Let's put on a party and put on a show. Good for St. Bonaventure. First win, Jeff, since 1970. In the NCAA tournament.
Why are you guys talking NFL and other sports? It's March Madness. Talk college basketball. Wake up, guys. Moya, this is a morning show. We talk about all sorts of stuff. And again, we're not robots. We can't just sit there and talk about college basketball for an hour. We have to throw in other things going on. That's what this show's all about. And judging by your name, I don't think you know that because I don't think we've ever seen you here before, but hope you enjoy the show. It's not just college basketball. We talk about all sorts of things here. Donnie says, go back to sleep, Moya. Moya, did you get enough sleep last night is the question.
Maybe he was watching the USC game, Jeff, till like 3 a.m.
Yeah, maybe he decided to partake in some Bill Walton LSD after too. I don't know. But we do all sorts of stuff here on the show. Donnie, LAU Brooklyn gets an L. They start out the name with L and they get an L last night. Listen, I mean, they had an opportunity. They were right in the game. They were in the game the whole time, really. I mean, the game was never out of no shot there. They, I saw all these people whining on Twitter about, they look terrible. I saw you tweeting, shoot too many threes. They were, but they weren't out of the game. I mean, they were only down 2 at half. The game plan was poor, though. Derek Kellogg was out coached last night. Derek Kellogg just look. If I'm a coach in that situation, I'm saying, listen, if any of you little fucks shoot another three, you're getting out, taking you out of the game, point blank. And he didn't do that. Joel Hernandez was horrible. He didn't have a good game. He was on another planet. Look, when your best player doesn't play well, you're not going to win. I don't think Radford played that well. I thought LAU should have hanged around. I thought they could have won the game. But again, you can't play that way, shoot that many threes. They were really good, Donnie, inside 2-point range. They had shot way over 50%. I don't know what they were doing and why they were doing it. LAU takes an L.
Yeah, well, I mean, watching the game overall, it was like, and this harkens back, Jeff, to when you're like fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade basketball, right? You always have that gunner or the kid on your team, and the coach says, "Look, you guys shoot like 20% from three because you're seventh graders, just can't get the ball there. Next person that takes a three, you're going to sit the rest of the game. If they didn't shoot a single 3-pointer in that game, Jeff, they win that ball game. But again, it's what they do. They're going to come up with it. But the problem I have is it's not like, if you watch a good 3-point shooting team, like if you watch a St. Mary's or like somebody that can really fill it up, maybe a Boston College or, maybe a mid-major type team, they, in and out, like, oh man, this guy shoots 50%. Oh man, he just missed that three. Jeff, there was a stretch where they were like 1 for 9 or 1 for 10, but 7 of those misses were like barely hitting the backboard and the rim. It was amazing to me because it allowed Radford to spread out and get that 7-8 point lead early. You're right, they did fight back, but we know all the time, Jeff, it's just hard enough to fight back from about double digits down to tie it up and then move forward. They just couldn't get over the hump. I wish they didn't shoot the 3-pointers because I think they would have won the ball game.
I found myself, Donnie, a lot saying, you ever notice like when a team is, playing their game, and obviously the goal of the other team is to limit a press or something like that. And I saw them getting rebounds and just going slow. I said, "Go, run! What do why are you going slow? They're giving you the opportunity to run in transition, and you're not taking it." And Donnie, the biggest irritating thing in college basketball when you're betting on a game, the most irritating thing, and there's nothing more irritating than offensive rebounds, allowing offensive rebounds. It never works. They always score when they get an offensive rebound. And there were just too many off. I don't think LA Brooklyn had an offensive rebound. Radford, though, hit the glass. Phillips and Polite and all those guys, they were hitting the basket and they were getting those offensive rebounds. LAU just, they didn't play well. They were out coached. And you're right. If they didn't shoot a three last night, I think they probably would have won the game. St. Mary's Gales were pretty dominating last night. I got to tell you, man, they have a kid named Jordan Ford on their team. Very good ball handler, great point guard, or whatever, two guard, whatever he plays. Very good player. Landau had a big game. Southeastern Louisiana didn't have much of a chance in this one. There were a lot of blowouts last night in the National Invitational Tournament, and this was one of them, 89-45. And by math, that's 54 points. Southeastern Louisiana would have just been better off forfeiting this one.
No, it was the one game I had last night. I took it at 14.5. There was a lot of things working in my favor for St. Mary's. The one thing some people try to, and again, it's motivation in the first round, but St. Mary's, to me, Randy Bennett, doesn't feel like they're going to be that team, Jeff, that sulks and pouts. It's more like, you know what, we're going to go out and show, this whole tournament what we're all about. And you're looking at Southeast Louisiana, Jeff. What did they do? End their season on Saturday? When were they even told about the rules or where they had to fly out, get a plane, go out to Moraga? Meanwhile, you had an extra week off to prepare for St. Mary's, knowing that you were going to go to the NIT with the rule changes and get ready for it in your home gym. I thought it was a major advantage. Southeast Louisiana doesn't shoot the three ball all that well. We all know how well St. Mary's can shoot. And I believe it was like one stat I tweeted, it was like 1 for 17 or something like that for Southeast Louisiana when it was over 50% for St. Mary's about 3/4 of the way through the game. It was pure domination. They don't have the size, Louisiana, to match up with Landau. Jeff, it was kind of funny. If you watch any part of the game, the whole offense was built on throw it down the jock. He would take 2 steps backwards and do like a little 3-foot flip that went in every single time. It was a complete and utter mismatch. I was surprised, Jeff. They hung the line at 14.5. That's an easy a win as you're going to get.
Yeah, no, I hear you. As far as the other games, Hampton, if you had Hampton, say a prayer. You win there on a last second three. Congratulations.
Yes, I want to talk about talk about that. Talk about that game because that was the scenario leading up to it was awesome.
Go ahead, you got it.
It was. I mean, I think the line opened up, Jeff, maybe like 20. So depending on where you got it, but most of the people were rating the target range we're going to talk to 22.5 down to like 20, somewhere in that range. If you watch the game, and again, it's the NIT. Not a lot of people were at the ball game last night for Notre Dame. Not a lot of excitement because they thought they were going to the NCAA tournament. But late in the game, Jeff, you put the bench guys in, and they're running. They're shooting threes. They get a 24-point lead, which they never should have had anyway because they're still running up and down the court with 1:15 left. But now comes that double-edged sword, Jeff. There was I want to say 13, 14 seconds left. Hampton doesn't care anymore. Like they're not even like playing like a half-ass like 1-3-1 full court press. And Notre Dame breaks it, but they throw the ball up, Jeff. And instead of doing the right thing usually, you just catch it and you stand there. The young kid, or maybe he doesn't get a lot of burn, shoots the three and misses it. So what happens next, Jeff? Hampton comes down the court and takes like a 30-foot three and drills it to make it 21. You had to be, I mean, that's why we bet, and that's why it's ridiculous to bet games sometimes in the 20s, because that's what you get at the end of the game. If you were Notre Dame, you probably shouldn't have covered the game. Then you probably should have covered it. Then you probably shouldn't have covered it. An amazing finish there, only in the NIT.
Yeah, you're right about that. I hate the first four. A perfect example of how corrupt the NCAA is. Just the existence of it is stupid, but the way they have it set up is just ignorant. St. Bonnie's got to fight. Yeah, I'm sure the teams are complaining. I mean, they had 4 extra spots and they have the opportunity to get into the tournament now. Listen, man, teams don't care. I mean, they're going to go. If they're invited, they're going to go. All the teams have to travel. I don't think that's anything that's, you know, out of the question. Look, do I like it? Not really. I prefer that it starts on Thursday, but listen, you're giving them 4 extra spots to try to get into the tournament. Donnie, I hate to say it, I don't think any of the teams are complaining about it.
No, no, no. These kids, come on, man. The kids live for this, and you would almost argue, Jeff, if you would rather be a lower level team, and you got in the first four, as opposed to being Penn lining up against Kansas. How much fun is it for NC Central and Texas Southern? A winnable game for each one. The same way we looked at LIU, Brooklyn, and Radford. You can actually say, Jeff, we went to the tournament and we won a game in the tournament because they're matching you up technically as 2 16 seeds for the right to play a 1 seed. But I would rather, what would you rather do, Jeff? Play in the first four in Dayton and have a chance to pick up a win and move on and still, get in March Madness and have some fun and, continue your season? Or would you rather be Penn and go up against Kansas and maybe get flatlined round one and you don't even get to enjoy it that much? If I'm a college kid, I love it. But again, NC Central, Texas Southern doesn't move the needle that much. Does LIU, Brooklyn, Radford move the needle that much? No. But it's college basketball. Enjoy it. These kids are enjoying it. It's a great atmosphere in Dayton, too.
And when in 20 years from now, when I have kids and I'm a player in this tournament, I could tell them, hey, back in 2018, man, we won. We beat LIU Brooklyn. I played for Radford. It counts as a win, and those kids will remember that. So I don't think it's that serious, Dan. But listen, I get what you're saying, but I don't think the kids are complaining, nor the coaches either. UCLA plays in front of a sparse home crowd last night. Obviously, you know, again, I don't think this is much of a story because I heard time and time again yesterday how Louisville didn't care, Middle Tennessee didn't care, USC didn't care. USC sitting players because they don't want to get injured. Yet all of them won, and all of them played well for the most part, and all of them got the job done. So it just goes to show you that some of this stuff doesn't matter a ton. Now you look at a team like, I don't know, the what was the one game I'm thinking about? Oregon initially. I mean, Oregon didn't look like they
Yeah.
cared. I mean, they get out and you're down, 10 at one point, but
And they
overall,
covered.
yeah, right. Overall, though, it didn't seem to matter much to a lot of these teams. USC was the one team that I guess came out and didn't care much, but they were still able to get a win, Donnie.
No, yeah, exactly. You're right about that. And take a look at Jeff Mostly home teams, right? The higher seeded teams really took care of business because we like to say motivation on one end, but you have to keep it in mind also. There's no motivation for a paycheck technically in NCAA like there is in the NFL. Like, you get like week 16 and all you're thinking about, Jeff, is saying, you know what? I just don't want to get hurt because it's going to damage my career. Maybe I'm a free agent. Other than Metu, who sat out of the game, kids like to play the game of basketball. I mean, that's, if there's a game, they're going to hoop it up and say, you know what? Hey, I get an extra game here. It's the same way having a pickup game down the street. You're still going to have fun. They are college kids. The only game I actually wondered about a little bit, Jeff, was the Middle Tennessee State game, just because I know the style that Vermont plays. They're going to slow it down, and all that swirling around their head coach, who did taking a job after the game. But that's a nice way to do it. He said before the game, Jeff, like, look, the only thing on our minds is going out here. We're going to perform well tonight. He was right on that one. If I was to bet a game, probably looking on the opposite would have been Vermont, just because a little bit of the scenario. But you're right. Home teams dominated last night.
7 of the 9 games were decided by 10 points or more. So they weren't great as far as games were concerned to watch. The greatest conference in humanity, Pac-12, and my Bill Walton one. Yeah, well, they're not that now. Bill Walton's a weird dude, man. late in the night last night, you kind of are forced to listen to the guy. And you know,
I love it.
I've never heard a guy like shut off more than him. Like he starts talking, and like the other guy just like, okay, and bang, we're gonna get back into the action here. Like
That's why it
he doesn't
works,
even
though. But no, that's why
acknowledge
those
him.
two work well together. Like he goes off the like what there's like 7 seconds to go in like the second quarter, and Bill Walton was like, "Explain to me why we're going quarters." And like, Bill, there's only 7 seconds left, and the layup is good, and we head into halftime. That's what makes those two hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned the quarters thing about how like and I did agree with him. Like I don't really like the whole quarter thing. Like it was no different than 40 minutes. Why not just leave it the way it is? I don't really.
Yeah, I
I
don't
get
get it.
other.
I mean, doesn't it make like isn't that why college is nice to be like a little bit unique in that? And I almost think it throws off the style of play, Jeff, because you're trained in your mind as a college player to look like, all right, 17 minutes left, 15 minutes left, 12 minutes left. Let's play a little bit more free. I almost think, Jeff, at times where they look up at the clock in the first quarter and there's 7 minutes to go, it's almost like they hunker down and like don't run their offense because they want to make sure they get a good shot because there's only 7 minutes to go. I think it played a little bit on their minds, honestly.
Yeah. No, it was an interesting game. I mean, I thought Asheville was very good. I thought they're fantastic. I just don't understand why you don't foul at the end there. I mean, that's a pure example of why you do foul.
Every
Um,
Yep, that's it. I mean, can we talk about that for 1 second here, just real quick? At the like, I don't understand this train of thought to me, right, Jeff? If you foul, right, it's a 99.99999% chance that you won the game. Why would you not do that and coach that every single time? Like talk to me about it. Like you say it, I say it. Why Jeff, it's not even a controversial move. It's an automatic. It's like in the football, Jeff. It's third down and one. There's 15 seconds on the clock. The other team has no timeouts, and you take a knee and you win the game. Or do you drop back and run a flea flicker with a reverse, Hail Mary? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah, no, I've often said that if I was a coach, I'd be surely fouling. I don't really, and it's not like you're facing a team like. Listen, if I was facing LIU Brooklyn last night and they were down three, maybe I just, maybe I let them just do it because they weren't making shots last night. But I mean USC. I mean USC was literally Donnie like 5 for 18 from the foul line at that point. I put them on the line and make them earn it. And again, they're still down three, so there's very limited opportunity that they can actually win the game. What are they going to miss make the first, miss the second, get the rebound, and win that way? That's really unlikely. Yeah, I don't understand either. Donnie, before we move on, I wanted to bring this up. This is kind of has nothing to do with sports, but I think it's a pretty unbelievable story. A puppy died after a flight
Oh,
attendant
yes.
insisted
Yeah.
it be stored in an overhead bin. What is this all about? I'm just seeing this here. Um,
Now, was the dog in a
wha-
container, or was the dog like we all been on planes, right? Like, was the dog just put in an overhead container, like just the dog itself, and just shut the overhead
ac-
thing?
ac- According to a passenger on the flight, she witnessed an United flight attendant instruct a woman to put the dog carrier with a live dog in an overhead bin. The passenger adamantly pushed back, sharing verbally that her dog was in the bag. The flight attendant continued to ask the passenger to do it, and she eventually complied. She said the dog was in a TSA approved carrier, but the flight attendant still insisted the carrier be placed in the bin. There was no sound as we landed and opened the kennel. There was no movement, and
Like,
the family
mm,
called his name. Amazing. What is? First
like
of all,
I don't know what now. Like you've seen dogs on planes, right? And if it was a little dog or whatever it was, they let you keep it usually on your lap or in like one of those bags and next to you there. I've never seen actually like a dog carry because I know they don't let if it doesn't stow away, you have to check the bag. You have to have it overhead. You can't just have like the kennel in the middle of the aisle, so to speak. I get that, but why wasn't there an option where hey, take the dog out of the kennel, store the kennel, but just keep the dog like on your lap for the flight? Like what did we miss here?
I guess I'm also wondering, like, and again, I don't fly a ton, so I can't answer this, and I don't really remember. But if you put a bag up in that, like the like kennel, the thing up top, the door has to close, or you can leave it open.
No, it has to close. Every one of them is
Okay,
closed.
because this is interesting. When I rode the train the other day, When you go on Amtrak, the
It's open.
stowaway thing
It's like a
above you is
rack, right?
open. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a rack. Why is it open? Why is it not open?
Because
Like I don't.
because on a plane you're going to run into turbulence as opposed to a train. So when the plane shifts down or you
Yeah,
hit some
yeah, I
turbulence in
got.
the air, that stuff would fly out and hit everybody. In a train, you're pretty much there's no speed bumps on a train, right? So you're just going straight through.
I got to tell you though, I got to be up in arms with the owner as well. I mean, why would the owner actually do this?
Get
Why
off
not
the
just say, look,
plane. Yeah, get off the
yeah,
plane.
exactly.
Yeah, just get
That's what I'm
off.
saying. Like the dog obviously is going to have no air and
Can
going to
you
die.
imagine? Yeah,
What
can you imagine that? Have you had a dog? Have you had a dog, Jeff, growing up?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like, hey, we're gonna put you up, and we're gonna put you in this closed kid. Like, we're gonna put you in the trunk of the car while we drive 2 hours. Would you even think like, no? You'd be like, dude, I can't. There's not enough room. We'll wait, or I'll do something else. I can't imagine why the owners even did that. You're right.
Yeah, the owners to blame here. The owner needs to say, "Look," or someone on the plane needs to say, "That dog's not going to survive. You can't put a dog. There's no air."
Yeah, you're right.
I
You're
mean,
so right. Like I like me as an animal lover. I have a dog. I have a cat. Like if I saw that, Jeff, I'd be like, wait a second. There's no way you could put this dog in a container and just keep it up there. And wait, Jeff, it's not like, hey, we're gonna take a cab from First to Third Street or something like that. They might have been on a cross country flight.
listen, not for nothing. And listen, I can't say I'm the biggest dog person. I don't have pets. I'm not really into that. My sister has a dog, and she treats it like it's her kid. Um, why is the dog on the plane in the first place? I mean, you ever hear of a fucking kennel? I mean, I get it. You like your dog or whatever, but I mean, do you really need to take your dog on the plane? And at any rate, I'm not sure why you're complying with a flight attendant that says put the dog in a stowaway and close the door. I mean, listen, if you put me underwater and don't let me come up, I'm going to die probably eventually. I don't, it's not difficult here. I don't know, first of all, where the owner was. So the owner says, okay, bye bye, dog, whatever your name is. I'm going to close the door on you now. And I'm going to sit down and we're going to take off. And I'm going to wonder if the dog can breathe or not. That didn't
The
even cross
person
my
whom you're
mind.
trying to reach is
As far as
currently.
the flight attendant, she's supposed to be the leader on the plane. She doesn't get it right, and no one else says, "Hey, that dog. I don't think he can sleep,
The
or I
person
don't
whom
think he
you're.
can breathe." It's ridiculous. Stupidest thing I've ever heard. Poor, it's a shame dogs have to be cared for by us because sometimes they're just way smarter. Animals are smart people. Well, they're not people. They're smart. They're smart mammals, let's say. It's a shame we have to go and fuck up the system because I'm sure that dog would have been just fine, just sitting there. A dog seemed to know when they should not bark and not do things like that. You look at all these zoo animals that, like that the orangutan that picked up the cigarette. I mean, it's an animal, man. Like, it's a shame we have
The
to be in
person whom you're.
control of these animals a lot of the time because we're stupider than they are, seems like half the time. Um, for many Native American tribes until 800 years ago, a puppy was considered a delicacy. If they're having a feast, they'd grab a puppy and. Okay, let me ask you, Dan, why do we need to know that? I mean, first of all, you're a nice guy, but I mean, is that necessary, Dan? Really? I mean, is that really necessary that you
What I
told
meant.
us that? I mean, this guy's like talking about how like Native Americans would kill dogs. Like, Dan, why is that relevant to the chat? Like, I read these comments, I kind of just, that's a little out of line, man. I mean, I don't know how that's really. I'm not sure why that's relevant to this conversation. But Donnie, what I was saying is animals are sometimes it's a shame that they have to be in control by us because sometimes they're a lot smarter than we are. I'm sure that dog would have just sat there and been fine, but there were a lot of people that fucked this up. Um, let's move on to the hardwood section, Donnie. We'll talk a couple games. What do we got going today?
Yeah, let me see. With my computer shutting down here, let me just get these games back up here. We'll take a look at. By the way, Skype not too much of a friend to me, Jeff, over the past week so far. The only application that I have that continually shuts down on me. So we'll see if we can make it through the show and get after Jeff. Temple Penn State tonight, Jeff. An interesting one, as we brought up earlier on the shows. with Temple, maybe getting a little bit of information out there. Fran, not too happy with the way Carr ended up going to Penn State as opposed to a city school, but the line hovering, Jeff, between 9.5 and 10, which at first glance to me, Jeff, seems a little bit too high. But what do we get? Is Temple motivated for this one?
Uh, I mean, I would think they are. I mean, they knew a couple weeks ago when they lost to Houston they weren't going to the NCAA tournament. They obviously it didn't make a run in the American either. Yeah, I think they are. I mean, without Mike Watkins, if Mike Watkins isn't in there, I definitely think Temple has an opportunity here because the one thing about Penn State that they generally have an advantage on is their guards are bigger than everyone else. That's why, if you remember the Ohio State game, that's why they were successful against Ohio State. They had bigger guards than Ohio State did. Temple are big. I mean, they have big guards. Quentin Rose, Obi, Shiz, they're all big kids guard wise, 6'4", 6'3". I think Temple's a decent matchup for Penn State. If I'm getting 9.5 points, I mean, basically, Donnie, you're basically saying to me here that Wichita State and Penn State are similar teams because I was getting the same amount of points about with Temple with Wichita State. I think Friend should have this team prepared. If he doesn't, I think he'll, again, I mean, he won't be fired, but he should be. I'm not a big Fran guy, which I've talked about, but I think they will cover this game. I think this is kind of a live spot for Temple. I think they're good enough without Watkins. Obviously, that big rim protector's gone. Temple would struggle with him in there because a Flack P and those kind of guys, they're not good enough and they're not big enough. Without Watkins, I think Temple has a nice little shot here. I think they would hang. Donnie, quickly, people are calling into question Dan Kelly's fact checking. Nick Dial, I'm Native American, and I've never heard any shit like that in my life. I agree. I used to work for an animal sanctuary. People would abandon or drop dogs off all the time.
Yep.
Donnie, I don't know if I ever told you. Real quick, when we're on that dogs thing, I was about a year ago. I was at a park near my house. It was back when I was like walking regularly and kind of just going outside. And I used to do that, Donnie. You do it. When you're betting a game, you would walk outside. And there was
Oh,
a
yeah.
time randomly where I was at this park near my house and I was walking around and I actually saw a kennel myself, it was literally in the middle of a parking lot. There was no one around. It was in this secluded area of the park, and it was a kennel, just like you would see like in this situation. And there was a dog inside of it, just sitting there. And you know, someone just basically left it there. The dog just sitting in there, and I felt terrible. I took the dog to a little, the SPCA or whatever it is, and let it go. And my sister said, "Why don't you take it home?" I said, I don't know what wrong with the dog could have had something wrong with it. I don't know, but I can't believe people do that. That's a shame, man. Animals are, like I said, I'm not a big animal guy, but animals are, meant to be cared for, especially dogs like this. They're not really used to the streets and things like that. You got to care for dogs. But I know you have a dog. But Donnie, it brings me to my quick next point. I saw the other day, and I think it was, I don't know, somewhere in New York, and not in the city. It was like Albany or somewhere. I saw a video of a little baby. Like it was literally 10, 20 degrees out. This guy was driving and you could see in the distance there's something little on the street. And he goes, "Oh my God, is that a baby?" And it was a little baby, probably 1 or 2 years old, just crawling on the street. Like, and he
Jesus.
stopped and he ran up to the baby and someone had literally dropped a little baby like off and just left it there. No cart, no nothing. Just laying on the thing, like just crawling, and the baby's crying, and it's very cold. I mean, where do people? I don't get it. I mean, I don't know where that happens. I mean, if you're not fit to care for a kid, I mean, drop it off to the clinic or something. I mean, what goes through people's heads with that?
Nothing goes through their head. That's the whole thing. I mean, you see maniacs every day, leading off on, the news, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever it is. I mean, maniacs do maniac things. There's no justification. I can't imagine getting a puppy and be like, oh man, she's really tough. And instead of, giving it to a good home, you just like, yeah, I'm just going to tie it up in the park with a note and a little can of food saying, "Please take this puppy," or something like that. People are out of their minds, man.
Yeah. Tony Soprano would have whacked that flight attendant. Yeah, I mean, he was a big
He
animal
would have
guy. He
pie oh
knows what
my,
it's
yeah,
like.
he would have had a problem with that. He would have had a
He
problem with
knows what
that.
it's like to have a pet. Uh, uh, Donnie, yeah. So back to your questions. Yes, I like tempo in this game. I think they'll cover. I think that's too many points.
Jeff, another interesting one, 6:13, 6:14, 7 o'clock tip tonight. Harvard's going to take on Marquette. Line opened up at 11.5, now sitting at 12. If you're watching this game, Marquette comes in a little bit, comes in healthier than Harvard. If you're looking at Harvard, a key injury. If you watched, I guess, Jeff, the final, was it? Yes, the
Yeah.
final versus Penn. Seth Towns went down in that game with a knee injury. Be hard pressed to see. He's listed as questionable for this game. I would be real hard pressed to see him play tonight. And how much effort are they going to have after losing? Because again, you want to say like teams that don't want to be there. I understand Harvard's always going to want to be and you want to play more, but they were right on the cusp of winning the Ivy League. That's a devastating one. You're going to go on the road without your two best players, Jeff, because Bryce Aiken hasn't played much of this year as well. And now you're going to go into Marquette a little bit deeper up at 3. How much motivation does Harvard have? But they're going to come prepared. They're going to put in yeoman's work out there, but I just don't think the talent is there, Jeff.
Yeah, plus they're smarter than everyone else. So, I mean, they're always going to have that edge. But yeah, I mean, Seth Towns, 16 a game. He's their boy, man. He's their bell cow. Big boy down low, 6 boards a game. Yeah, that's a huge loss. And Harvard's the type of team, Donnie. When you lose Bryce Aiken, that's a big loss. But when you lose Towns, I mean, that's an even bigger loss. That's basically, Donnie, 30 points out of the lineup on a team that only
Yeah.
scores about 70. So that's a huge loss. Yeah, Marquette can really blitz you, man. They can really go at you quick. Um, this looks like a crooked number kind of game. I mean, Marquette should be pretty motivated. Marquette's a very good offensive team that can really fill it up in a hurry. The question is, are they good enough defensively? They aren't
Yeah.
really good on that side of the basketball. If they're their normal, I mean, you got to look. Did they beat anyone by 12 this year? I mean, I have to ask that. I mean, from remembering, I mean, obviously they play in the Big East, and that's a tough conference, especially against competition to win by double digits. But I mean, did they blow anyone out by this amount? I mean, they beat St. John's by 12 one time.
Yeah,
They
Jeff,
beat
they beat Chicago. They actually beat Wisconsin pretty handily, but we're talking about games back in December, St. John's by 12. I mean, there is an MO for that. You're right, but no, this playing defense really is what it's all about. The one thing Harvard, Jeff, they're going to do, they're going to run their offense, but now without that down low presence, you sort of took a little bit last night from that St. Mary's game, down 2 key contributors for Southeastern Louisiana. And when you're just like 6'5" on the block, you can't, and you're just getting overwhelmed. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they did look like in their non-conference they beat bad teams by a lot. Yeah, I mean, I would lean Marquette, especially with Towns out. That's a tough ask.
All right, Jeff, keep it moving down here. Some other game. Interesting one here, 6:51, 6:52. We'll go quickly here. 7 o'clock tip, Niagara, Eastern Michigan. The only reason I bring this game up, Jeff, opens up at 8.5 this morning, over under 153.5. Eastern Michigan plays that matchup zone, interesting type if you're not ready for it. But again, Niagara, the question is, Jeff, will Matt Scott play? Was doing a little bit of surfing around Twitter and the internet last night. It looks like Matt Scott is out of his boot and still getting treatment, but maybe give it a go. And if there's better games out there. If you're looking to bet this game and saying, I like Niagara, they're getting 8.5, and I hope Matt Scott plays. How effective is he going to play in this ball game? Eastern Michigan overall is the better team, yes. But if you don't know a key player, how well he's going to play, better just lay off these type of games, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, without Matt Scott, Niagara's just not as good a team. I haven't seen a ton of Eastern Michigan this year. I do know about the zone they play. I'm not a big Mac guy, though. I've talked about that before. This is a pass for me, Donnie Rightside.
One real quick, Jeff. Washington, Boise State, 625, 626. Opens up at -1, stays at -1, 55% of the early ticketed action, Jeff, going on the Boise State squad here versus Washington. Pac-12 going on the road, 148 and over under. I don't really have much in this game. I like Boise State, and I like Boise State when they play at home. But the same thing, Washington. Is Washington really excited to go over and play Boise State on the road? Pac-12 hoping to have a little bit more. Maybe they're motivated for this game. I would look maybe leaning a little bit more toward the over 148 than a side. But if I had to pick a side, Jeff, I'll just go with the home team, Boise State, in this one.
Yeah, Donnie, I got to ask you about this because I know you're a big line guy. I'm
Yeah.
looking at one of the odd services and not SPR. I just am curious about this because I looked at
Yeah.
another one. Did you have this line opening 6.5?
Yeah, Chris opened up at 6.5, but a lot of those times they'll put some because the odd
Yeah, but
services
it was over
trap the first number they see.
a day that it stayed at 6.5. I mean, it opened on 3/12. It opened 6.5. It didn't go down to 1 until the next day.
Yeah, no, it's
What's
yeah,
that?
that's I mean, some use maybe a different algorithm or formula, and once that went up and everybody else had one across the board, they took it down. I don't know what the reasoning for that is, but I skipped right over it since it's not really available, and I did see Chris open up at 6.5 on that one.
Yeah, real quick before we kind of wrap it up here, there is one game that I'm taking a look at today. 637, 638, Mercer, Grand Canyon. Not really sure why this number's 6.5. Grand Canyon, not a team that's particularly inept to blow teams out. I don't really see a 6.5 point difference between these two. Both are good defensively. Both are full of seniors. Obviously, you have an atmosphere there at Grand Canyon that's pretty good, but I don't see 6.5 points different here. Bob Hoffman's team has been a bit disappointing this year, but overall Mercer had a real nice end of the season. They I think one of 8 of 9. They they have 4 seniors in their lineup. 6.5 seems like a bit too many points here. Grand Canyon still has major issues scoring the basketball. Mercer will come in there ready to go. I think they'll be motivated in this game. Don't really know why this number's 6.5. I think that's a little too high. As far as Boise, Washington, I think it's a coin flip, man. I think it's a total
Actually, you
coin
know what?
flip.
There's your answer right there in the chat box, Jeff. Good call, Andrew Warren, because I didn't cap this game. I just have it on my odds board. It has Boise State listed as the home team, Jeff. Boise State is actually the away team at Washington. That's your difference on the 6.5 and the 1 right there.
Hmm. I guess they had a scheduling mix-up. Okay, got it.
Yep, there you go.
All
That's
right,
good
very
call.
good. Good,
Good call.
good call. Astute call there, Adam or Andrew. Sorry, Andrew Warren, not Adam Warren. Adam Warren was a Yankee pitcher. Um, let's wrap it up, Donnie. Want to
Talk about the show, man.
remind
4 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to remind everyone, check us out today, 4 o'clock Eastern. Again, 4 o'clock Eastern. Don't ask me, hey, big man, is that 3? No, it's at 4. It'll be me. It'll be Donnie. It'll be Drew Martin. It'll be Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers will join us as well. We'll go region by region, highlight some of our favorite um, games against the number tomorrow and Friday. We'll give out some best bets. We'll ask some
So yeah, Jeff, what's the premise of the
handicap.
show, Jeff? Are we going over like we did on Sunday night with a more in-depth look? Are we focusing in on first round games? What's the actual show about to the for the people?
Well, Donnie, you're gonna have to find that out later because I'm not gonna say it on the air. I'll tell you off the air. I want people to listen to the show, and if they know what it's about and they don't want to hear it, they're not gonna listen. You got to
Why? They
tease,
listen to
Donnie.
everything we do. What are you kidding me? You got to give them some prep time. They want to come in because you know what's going to happen in the chat box. Big man, who do you have winning it all? Like this is not what the show is about, and you're going to get angry. Jeff, you're only going to get angry at that.
I'm not gonna get out. I mean, I told you what the premise of the show was, Donnie, last night. We're just going over games from each region. I mean, we'll take some questions. We'll try to find some astute comments here, and we'll go through that. I mean, it's not necessarily a roundtable, but we'll entertain some questions if we have some good
All
ones.
right.
It's more of like we're teeing some people up on their favorite games. Where the best value is from a Vegas perspective. Drew will be in Florida. You'll be where you are. It'll kind of be a potpourri of madness as we get ready for the tournament getting going tomorrow. Y'all spent 5 minutes on games and just bullshitting. Well, then don't listen,
Yep.
Jamal.
Yep. And
Jamal
you
Taylor.
watched it all. Jamal watched it
Yeah,
all, though. Thank you. You
exactly,
must have
Jamal.
watched
Thanks
it
for
all.
watching. You're just another listener. Thank you, Jamal. I've actually seen in other chats, Donnie. He actually thinks that all sports are fixed and that he's one of those weirdos. Thanks for listening, though, Jamal. Appreciate it, man. Um, okay, Jamal, don't listen then. I mean, I don't think anyone's begging you to listen, man. You're in here, so we're doing it. There's a lot of people in here that like the show. So yeah, Cody AV, not Jamal. Oh no, Cody knows. Cody, Jamal is such a clown. Damn, Cody. Cody put Jamal in his place. Thanks to Wanma for producing the show today. Thanks to Donnie Rightside for his astute comments as well. We'll be back at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I don't think we ever broadcasted at 4 o'clock. I don't think there's ever been a show on SBR at 4 o'clock p.m. So it will truly be first one of its kind. How do you feel
Groundbreaking,
about that?
groundbreaking.
Four
I think it's
o'clock,
going to
yes,
be it's going to be very emotional, groundbreaking. It needs to be watched.
exactly. Looking forward to it. We'll see you then. Thanks to Wama for producing. Have a great day. Bye bye.